Imagine a world drowning, not just in water, but in chaos, uncertainty, and fear. A world where one man, one family, and one fragile boat stood between life and total destruction. That's Noah's story. But here's the question that might stop you in your tracks. Why should a tale from thousands of years ago matter to you right now, in 2025? Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll see Noah's Ark isn't just an old Sunday school lesson. It's a lifeline for today. Let's start with the basics. Noah's Ark isn't some fairy tale about a bearded guy herding animals onto a giant wooden ship. It's a raw, emotional story of survival against impossible odds. Picture this. The earth is spiraling out of control, violence, corruption, and a society that's lost its way. Sound familiar? Genesis tells us,
"The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time."
Genesis 6 verse 5. God looked at that mess and said, "Enough." But then there's Noah, a man who wasn't perfect, but who dared to listen when everyone else laughed. He built an ark not because it made sense, but because it was hope. And in 2025, when we're surrounded by our own storms, literal and figurative, don't we need that same kind of hope? Now, I know what you might be thinking. Floods and arks feel ancient, disconnected from our high-tech lives. But pause for a second. What if I told you Noah's world and ours aren't so different? Back then, people ignored the warnings, mocked the idea of judgment, and kept living like nothing could touch them. Today, we've got wildfires raging, oceans rising, and headlines screaming about the next big crisis. Scientists predict 2025 could see record-breaking climate disasters, floods in one place, droughts in another. And beyond nature, there's the chaos of division, anger, and a culture that sometimes feels like it's sinking under its own weight. Noah's Ark isn't just a boat, it's a mirror. It's showing us that when everything falls apart, there's still a way through. Let's dig deeper. Noah didn't just survive. He thrived because he trusted something bigger than himself. Imagine the scene. Years of hammering wood, gathering animals, and facing the jeers of his neighbors.
By faith Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family.
Hebrews 11 verse 7. That's not blind obedience. That's courage wrapped in faith. And here's where it gets real for us. In 2025, we're bombarded with choices, scrolling through endless opinions, chasing trends, or numbing out with distractions. But what if, like Noah, we stopped to listen? What if we dared to trust that voice telling us to hold on, to build something lasting, even when the world calls it crazy? That's the emotional punch of this story. It's not about a flood. It's about finding solid ground when everything else washes away. Here's something that might hit you hard. Noah's Ark wasn't built in a day. It took decades, some say over 100 years. Think about that. 100 years of sweat, doubt, and persistence while the sky stayed clear. Can you feel the weight of that? Every nail he drove in was a bet on a future he couldn't see. And in 2025, we're in our own waiting game. Maybe you're waiting for a breakthrough, a job, a healing, a purpose. Maybe you're building something, a family, a dream, a life, and it feels like the rain will never come. Noah's story whispers to you, keep going. The ark mattered because he didn't quit. And whatever you're carrying today, it matters too. Now, let's flip the lens. Noah wasn't alone on that boat. He had his family, his wife, his sons, their wives, and every creature God sent his way. There's a quiet beauty in that, isn't there? In a world falling apart, he wasn't just saving himself. He was saving a community. In 2025, we're more connected than ever. Phones buzzing, screens glowing. But so many of us feel isolated. Loneliness stats are climbing. Studies say over 30% of Americans feel disconnected even in crowded rooms. Noah's Ark reminds us, we're not meant to ride out the storm solo. Who's in your ark? Who are you pulling close when the waters rise? That's the heartbeat of this story. It's about holding on to each other. But here's where it gets wild. Noah's Ark isn't just a feel-good tale. It's a warning wrapped in grace. God didn't flood the earth because he was angry for no reason.
The earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence.
Genesis 6 verse 11. It was a reset, a chance to start over. And in 2025, don't we crave that too? A reset from the noise, the greed, the endless scroll of bad news? Noah's Ark says, change is possible, but it starts with us. It's not about predicting the end. It's about preparing for a new beginning. What would happen if we took that seriously? If we stopped running from the storm and started building something to outlast it? Let's paint a picture. Close your eyes for a second. Well, don't. You're listening. But imagine this. Rain pounding, waves crashing, and inside the ark, Noah's family huddling together. The animals restless, the wood creaking, but they're safe. That's 2025 for us. The storms are real, climate chaos, mental health struggles, a world that feels unsteady. But the ark isn't gone. It's still here, in the promises we cling to.
I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth.
Genesis 9 verse 13. That rainbow wasn't just for Noah, it's for you. It's God saying, I'm still here, and so are you. Doesn't that stir something in you? A flicker of peace in the mess? Here's a twist that might shake you up. Noah wasn't a sailor. He wasn't a shipbuilder by trade. He was just a guy, a farmer, a father, who said yes when everything screamed no. And yet, that yes changed everything. In 2025, you don't need to be an expert to make a difference. You don't need all the answers to start building. Maybe your ark is a kind word, a bold step, a prayer in the dark. Noah's story isn't about being perfect, it's about being willing. And right now, with all the noise of this year, isn't that what we need? Willing hearts to stand up, to hold on, to keep going? Let's bring it home. Why does Noah's Ark still matter in 2025? Because it's not about a boat, it's about us. It's about surviving the floods we can't control and finding hope in the ones we can. It's about faith when the forecast is bleak, about community when the world pulls us apart, about preparation when the future feels shaky. Noah didn't know the rain would stop, but he trusted it would. And in a year like 2025, where AI reshapes our jobs, climate shifts our homes, and screens blur our souls, that trust is everything. This story isn't dead. It's alive, breathing, calling us to look up. So, as we wrap this up, I want you to feel this. You're not just listening to an old tale, you're part of it. The ark isn't locked in history. It's wherever you are, right now. Every choice you make, every hand you hold, every dream you build, it's your ark. And in 2025, with all its wild unknowns, that matters more than ever. Before I go, here's something to chew on. If Noah's Ark landed in your life today, what would you put on it? What would you save, fight for, carry into tomorrow? Drop your thoughts below. I'm dying to hear what you choose.
If you found this video enjoyable, please consider liking and sharing it. Additionally, subscribing to this channel will ensure that you receive more updates in the future. Thank you.